Good afternoon, everyone. Looks like we're live. I think it says live, but it hasn't started counting the time. There we go. Okay, I guess we're live now officially. But good afternoon from Los Angeles and good afternoon from Tokyo, Japan. Much to Brandon's disappointment, I'm not in Japan, but Carlos is, and it's been a little while since we've caught up, but here we are. We're on different time zones. It's afternoon here in Los Angeles, and then Carlos, I think it's morning over there for you, right?
Yeah, that's right. It's actually around 8:42 a.m. in the morning on my end.
Yeah, it's 3:42 here in LA. So if you're on the East Coast, then it's probably 6:42 over there. But yeah, man, this is literally Nova's comment. My favorite people. Oh, now you want to come in, but you don't watch my other videos. I'm just kidding. What's going on, Nova? How you doing, man? Thanks for stopping by. Um, no, yeah, we were just talking before we went live how this is like the first time we've actually like seen each other's faces and talk because we've been talking on social media, but that's been like through text. But yeah, this is the first time we've talked to each other or seen each other and talked to each other since we left for Japan. So I'm sure we have a lot to catch up on. So what's new over there, Carlos? How are things going for you?
Oh yeah, oh things are going fine. I've just been working, shopping around. If I act like a tourist, it's by accident. It's probably because I get lost. I'm like, oh shoot, I was supposed to go the other way in the train station. Where am I? All right, let me find my way
Mhm.
back. Oh look, that's pretty. That's pretty. Let me take a picture of that. So I think probably a lot of the pictures you see me posting are probably from me getting lost, but that's a good thing. And yeah, it's been quite an adventure.
I mean, things seem to, I mean, people are, from what I understand, they look pretty friendly over there. Do they ever help you out if you ever seem lost or kind of just mind their own business?
I don't really ask for help, but when I do ask for help, I think a lot of people are overly polite. Like, for example, if you're a customer, they treat you almost like a god.
Mm,
And it sounds like an exaggeration, but I think that's the motto over here. Like in the United States, there's the motto of the customer is always right.
mhm.
Over here, they have the motto of the customer is God.
That makes sense. You're keeping them afloat. So, Brent says, how can we verify you're in Japan? Just go follow them on social media.
Yeah, how can I verify it? That's a good question. I guess this could be like any other place in LA, right?
That's true. Yeah.
I mean, I guess if I open the window over there, but I'm not sure if you guys could see it. So you can see that it's daylight over here.
Yeah.
I don't know. Take my word for it, I guess.
Yeah. Just take, yeah, take,
For now. Oh yeah, okay. How about this? Japanese money. One moment, please.
there you
One.
go. Stand
Okay.
by.
All right. So this is my wallet. It's actually bigger than American wallets because the currency here is bigger, right?
Yeah.
The bills are actually a lot bigger, and so this is how Japanese money looks like.
Mm.
And as you can see, it doesn't say United States of America. This is my
The
train
United
pass.
States of Japan.
Yeah, the 51st state. So
Yeah.
here's my Japanese. You just tap it, and you can not only use it for the trains, you could use it for the vending machines, for the bus, for convenience stores, and whatever. It's
Very
kind of
cool.
weird but interesting, and they don't really make these cards anymore because of the chip shortage. So the
Mm.
guy who actually got me from the airport to my destination, he just gave that away for me, and like he could have just sold it for a lot of money, but he just like gave it to me. So that's very nice of him.
Was it someone you knew?
No, it was a coworker, a
Okay.
Japanese coworker. He's the one, like stereotypically standing by the entrance of the airport with the sign that said my name, like just
Oh,
looking around,
wow.
like who could be Carlos?
Wow.
And we're like, oh,
Yeah.
hey, hey, you
Yeah.
know. So I said his name because at least they gave me his name. They didn't give me his picture or anything.
Right.
So I called out his name, like, oh, and his English was good enough. So and he was really helpful, super helpful. I couldn't believe how helpful people were. Yeah.
That's awesome. Nova says, trying to derail the conversation already, but he says, I saw this video of a guy who rented a girlfriend for like $500.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a thing. In fact, there's an anime called Rent a Girlfriend. That's what it's all about.
Nova says, damn, Carlos flexing.
Not really. Even though the bill says 10,000, that's 10,000 yen. So the
Yeah,
currency doesn't really, it's not the same as the United States. It's
right.
more
I think it's.
devalued than the US dollar.
I think he's referring to your card. How he said like it's one of the rare ones now.
Oh, yeah. Nobody
That's
has
when a
that
comment
card.
came in.
Yeah. And I'm keeping it because it's helpful.
It might become a collector's item someday.
It already is. It's that
Wow,
bad. People can't buy it anymore.
that's crazy. I mean, over here, people were, hurting each other and shooting each other with Popeye sandwiches, and now, you have
God
something way more
dang,
important,
really?
and people are still
Oh, check this out. I forgot my cup. See? Look. See, it doesn't say LA. So that's more proof.
could have bought it at a souvenir shop. I'm just kidding.
I did get it at Starbucks. Does it say Starbucks here? Yeah, I think it says Starbucks. See?
Right there, yeah.
Yeah,
Wow,
and I'm drinking coffee, and yeah, I got it at Starbucks.
that doesn't help your being in Japan argument.
Yeah, there's
It's
McDonald's
all
here.
good.
There's Starbucks. There's 7-Eleven. A lot of a lot of people drink Coca-Cola, so sometimes you can't really tell the difference.
Have you tried out like the some of the fast food places you mentioned over there, or not yet?
You mean Jersey Mike's? I haven't seen one of those.
Jersey Mike's.
No, I
They're
haven't
like
seen that.
McDonald's or like I heard 7-Elevens over there are really nice.
Okay, coincidentally, let's just say that before I woke up to do this live stream, I was dreaming about one of the local food chains here, a burger place. I think it's called Moss Burgers. I couldn't
Mhm.
believe I was dreaming about that. But they have this vegan sauce that I can't believe. Like it's sort of like two cartridges. You squeeze them together, and like the sauce blends in as you're putting it on the burger,
Wow.
and it's pretty good. Like they have their own little plant-based burger, I guess because enough tourists from the United States, the vegan-friendly people, have been coming here, or like might as
Right.
well throw them a bone or something. So here, this is plant-based. But let's say you get fries or let's say you get a salad, the dressing is going to have like fish products, but you wouldn't know unless you put the phone over to the ingredients to translate the text.
Wow.
So they still don't really get it, but they kind of are trying to accommodate.
Right. I don't think they're trying to get. I think they're just saying, "Hey, this is what it is. Take it or leave it."
Yeah, there you go. It was good though. I ate some of that salad with the fish dressing and it's pretty good. In fact, in the beginning, I didn't know any better, so I'm all like, I have to eat some meat, so I'm gonna have to eat some fish sandwiches, fish burgers, and sushi and whatever. Then
Mhm.
later on, I sort of like started realizing, all right, so if I grocery shop here, if I eat at this restaurant, at this chain, buy this, then I could still be vegetarian.
Nice. I was gonna say the first thing I'd probably try there is sushi. Have you had a chance to try it?
Yeah, it's one of the first things I tried. I mean, one of my managers, he invited me over for a sushi restaurant
Mhm.
and he didn't really get it because I was trying to sort of explain, is there a place that is sort of like vegetarian? Like he didn't get it. So we ended up at that sushi place, me, him, and other coworkers. Well, like I don't want to be impolite. Like, okay, I'll try all the sushi, whatever he says, I'll try. And it
Mhm.
was delicious. So like and he was sort of like bragging to our other coworkers, like, hey, this is the one that foreigners really like. It's the tuna one. Like, here, try the tuna. I'm all like, he's all like, did you like it? And I'm all like, yeah. See, foreigners like this one.
You know, it'd be really funny if he just gave you like a California roll.
Imagine. Yeah, but yeah, it was delicious. I loved it.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm sure the sushi is probably way better out there than it is here, or at least better prepared.
Probably. I mean, in LA, I used to get the vegetarian sushi, so I couldn't really compare. But yeah, the fish was really fresh.
Brent has a question for you. He says, "Has he gotten anything delivered? When I was in India, everyone gets everything delivered."
Over here, there's more of a walking culture.
Nice, my kind
It's
of
like,
place.
exactly, there you go. It's like, you want to pay your bills, walk over to the convenience store, you can pay your bills there. Like, you get your bill in the mail, there's a barcode, you give it to the cashier, and then you can just pay. And let's say you want to get something from the bank, there's ATMs, so you have to walk to it. Online banking isn't really that good.
Hmm.
Apps, how in LA a lot of people do things through apps, right?
Hmm.
So over here, that's not as popular as, for example, in Korea. In Korea, they do everything online, I heard. But
Right.
here in Japan, people walk everywhere. Um, I guess Japan is sort of stuck in the early 2000s, I heard. You know, I heard that in the 90s, they were so ahead of their time that they were already living like a 2000s lifestyle in the early
Wow.
90s. But now it's already 2023 and they still live like it's the early 2000s, commuting everywhere. There's DVDs. I think
Hmm.
Tower Records is still alive and well here.
Wow.
On In commercials in magazines, I keep seeing like commercials for DVDs like buy this anime in a DVD, and like you walk to Akihabara, like all sorts of physical media, and I don't get it. Like streaming is not so popular here. A lot of people like physical media. It's like traveling back in time, which is fine for me.
That's awesome. Do you think it has to do with the fact that because I've heard I don't know how true this is, but I've been hearing that the average age of people in Japan is around like late 40s or 50s. Do you think that has something to do with it?
Yeah, you know what? That's actually a very valid point. I never thought about that. It is an older population. When I look around, I feel like a lot of people are probably older than me.
Wow.
Um, except if you go to certain cities like Shibuya, that's the center of Tokyo, that's a younger place. Um, but I happen to live in an area that, again, like people are gonna say I'm flexing, but it's more affluent. And so, yeah, people do seem a little bit either really old or really young, so but it's really nice. I like it.
That's awesome. And also, I think I was watching your video or one of your streams, and you said that's very clean out there, very safe. So I'm assuming there's no homeless people out there.
In all my stay in Japan, I think I've only seen one that I
Hmm.
suspected is probably homeless. More likely, maybe he was some sort of drunk. You do see drunk people, I think, especially in Shinjuku. Shinjuku is the place where even the Japanese people will tell you, like, oh, that place is dangerous.
Hmm.
But if you compare Shinjuku to downtown LA,
Hmm.
there's no comparison. You know,
Right.
I feel like in LA, things seem to be like falling apart. Over here, you don't get that sense. You get the sense of a society that is thriving,
Hmm.
energetic. And for the most part, it is clean. But of course, in a big city, especially in the Shinjuku area, you will see a little bit of graffiti, a little bit of those stickers, that young people like to put in random places,
Right.
a little bit of the street sort of culture, like people playing music out there in the open, these up and coming idols and people that want to be, famous. So you're going to see that there.
No, but Carlos, Carlos, you got to repopulate Japan.
Yeah,
We've
funny
we've
thing.
been we've been talking to you about that before you even moved there, so nothing new.
Yeah, funny thing. Like I guess I don't know if it's just my side of Tokyo, but you notice a lot of kids nowadays. A lot of mothers pushing their baby strollers. So I don't know if they sort of got the message and said like either we go extinct or we start to repopulate, or I don't know if it's just a thing that I noticed on my side of town.
Yeah, no, I think I remember reading an article about how the Japanese government was just giving people incentives to have babies because like you say, if not enough people have babies, then it might go extinct, or they'll be in big trouble.
Yeah, in fact, just walking distance from where I live, there's like this Catholic school, Catholic elementary school,
Hmm.
and a lot of people here are not religious. So I think they send their children to these schools where the nuns, are basically the teachers, you know,
Right.
f- maybe for the optics of it, because I hear that people are not really religious here,
Hmm.
but you do see, a lot of playgrounds. You do notice that fortunately people are still having kids, at least from what I saw. And this is just me. I'm not looking at the stats. I don't know. I hear the stats are tremendously bad,
Right.
especially in Korea. I think Korea is even worse when it comes to the birth rate. And I hear that the United States is probably fine because people from all over the world keep, coming to the United States. It's still a magnet for immigrants.
Yeah, would you say there's a lot of immigrants in Tokyo?
Nowadays, yes.
Okay.
In in fact, once I walk in, there's already some sort of protocol. Like, all right, a foreigner is walking in. We know what to do. Here's the English menu, and the cashiers are all like, for here or to go for here. They do their.
Yeah.
I'm not being racist, by the way. So the cashiers, now at least they know the right terms in case people don't know Japanese. And I
Right.
go out of my way to speak in Japanese to accommodate to them. But at some point, they start asking all these questions like, would you like a bag with that for here to go? Like, would you
Yeah.
like me to warm this up? All sorts of stuff that are beyond me. So then eventually, some of them, the younger ones, they start using English.
Hmm.
So there was this funny back and forth in Shinjuku in a place called Cat Cafe. It's a coffee shop. Is there another funny clip? But I just said I wasn't being racist. So,
That was funny.
so the cashier girl, I think she was around our age. Like
Yeah.
she just starts speaking English, like almost perfect English, right? But then I noticed she's still struggling a little bit. Okay, fine. I'm gonna try to order this in Japanese. And there was sort of like a sense of relief, like, oh, he knows a little bit of Japanese,
Yeah.
and we go back and forth, and I'm able to communicate. Niku arimasen desu ka? So does this have meat? Oh, arimasen. It doesn't have it. And stuff like that. We went back and forth. Ah, kore kudasai. I'll take this one then. you know so yeah, that's what you get here. Like, they try to accommodate to English speakers. Sometimes it's possible, sometimes it's a little less possible.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure in Tokyo, like some of the tourist cities, or especially if they have like a lot of business travelers, they probably do speak English. But I'm sure like once you start venturing out to the rural areas and suburbs, then you'll probably find less and less people, right?
When you go to the suburbs,
Like the rural areas where there's not a lot of travelers, so maybe
um,
there's not as many people speaking English out there.
well, because I mostly been traveling here for job purposes, they've
Yeah.
sent me to the more urban areas. But
Mhm.
yeah, I hear the countryside, has its own charm,
Right.
and the people there are probably friendlier. I've done video English lessons with people from Osaka. But even Osaka itself is reminiscent of LA, I heard, while Tokyo is reminiscent of New York. So
Mhm.
yeah, you're right. Maybe what I see around me is probably just a little bubble of the remaining population, right? But if you go to certain areas, you're probably going to find it a little bit empty. And I think China itself as well is undergoing some sort of population crisis, because of the one child policy and so on and so forth. And I hope I'm not saying terms that, could harm your live stream or anything.
I'm
I'm not
sure we'll be
trying to be
fine.
political.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, so yeah, that's what I notice all around me. And in fact, I was at a company party once, right? I walk in and I notice it's just the Japanese coworkers. Where's all the foreigner coworkers? Well, like
Mhm.
this was my opportunity to network with. I was thinking this is my opportunity to network with everybody, but it was basically I was the only foreigner there, right? There was this one guy of Japanese descent who's like an American. He holds both an American visa and a Japanese visa. I don't know how, because that's supposedly illegal. But he was the only American there, but he was of Japanese descent. So like, you want to learn Japanese? I'll teach you a phrase in Japanese. You should say it to every single girl. So like, uh, "Kekkon shite kudasai" or something like that. I'm like, what? "Kekkon shite kudasai"? Is that marriage? It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's the word for marry. So like, say that to like every girl that you meet. They'll giggle.
Mhm.
And like coincidentally, like, I was practicing it and people were just laughing and like, yeah, I know this is a prank phrase. Like, I'm not gonna go around saying that. But yeah, like Nova was saying, like, yeah, people even here, like, they joke around about that or something like that.
Do you ever get any comments like, "Oh, we didn't know you spoke Japanese," or anything like that?
I think a lot of people when they come to Japan, they learn the basic phrases,
Mhm.
but a
Arigato.
lot of Americans will say arigato
Yeah.
with the diphthongs, which is
Yeah.
not how you say it. So, because ironically, Spanish and Japanese have a similar vowel system,
Mhm.
automatically, if I say arigato gozaimasu, like a lot of Japanese people go like, "Whoa, whoa, your Japanese is good."
Yeah.
Like, no, that's not it. It's just that I'm using my Spanish pronunciation and I'm repurposing it for your language, and it just happens to match.
Okay.
Like I met one guy here who's Dominican from Canada, but he's of Dominican descent, and he's all like, just pronounce the words as if it was Spanish. Like people here think I'm half Japanese because of the way I pronounce words, but it's because Spanish and Japanese have a similar pronunciation of vowels and stuff like that.
I can see that because there's a lot of O's or like Oz.
Yes, and it's, let's say you're saying the sound O, right? You don't say
Mhm.
O like
Yeah.
in English. You say O.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't say A. You say ah.
Right.
Like very clear, crisp, only one vowel, not a diphthong. And so when people hear you pronounce things, sort of correct or like it, like a pleasant surprise.
Right. Like a breath of fresh air.
Well, a lot of people giggle too. I'm like, are you laughing at me? Like, no, it's just so cute. I
Yeah.
guess my friend said it's because you're saying it correctly.
Yeah. They're probably just like probably just shocked them. Yeah, I was gonna say this too. The only thing aren't allowed on YouTube apparently are WW clips or anything like that. So
Oh, wow.
I don't know if you know the story, but there was one
Yeah,
time we were on Nova's channel. We started playing WW clips and they canceled the live stream.
I
Like
think
we
that
just got
was an
shut
infamous
down.
moment.
Yeah. We got Kevin Hawthorne in the house. What's going on, Kevin? As always, Kevin says good evening from Lakeland, Florida. I like it. I like it. Very professional. I was watching your video. I don't think I commented on this one because I didn't have to. I was not in a rush, but I was kind of like passing through. But you were talking about moving to Mexico, and I'm like, dude, you literally just moved to Japan.
Well, I'm not saying I'm going to go tomorrow
Yeah,
or next week.
yeah.
I was just expressing a feeling like I have that urge, but of course I'm going to, spend my whole 3-year work permit here, which by the way is supposedly very rare. You're
Mhm.
not supposed to, at least people have never, to people's knowledge, people don't really get 3 years off the bat. They usually get 1 year, but the
Right.
government was kind enough to give me 3 years. I guess they're all like, quick, quick, we're running out of people. Just let them in 3 years.
Yeah.
Maybe next time I'll get 5 years. The next time I renew somehow. I don't know.
What probably happened was they probably looked at the last name and like, this guy can help us repopulate.
That never gets old. That joke.
Nova says, I give Carlos 6 months tops before he finds himself a Japanese wife. Well, Nova, it's bold of you to say one or singular wife. I think it's gonna be several wives.
Wow, a harem, huh? Very
But
funny.
yeah, I was thrown off by your video because I was like, when he was in LA, he was talking about how he couldn't wait to move to Japan, and now that he's Japan, he's saying how he can't wait to move to Mexico. So I was just a little confused.
Well, for the record, my original plan was to go to Mexico. Then the opportunity to go to Japan opened up, so I'm here. Um, in December, a friend of mine is going to visit Japan. He's going to be in Kyoto. So
Mhm.
that's an opportunity for me to be like a tourist a little bit. Kyoto is sort of like a traditional part of Japan.
Nice.
And he says, "Oh, in January I'm going to be in Taiwan. Would you like to join me?" I'm sort of debating that because, I'm getting settled here, and even though I can go if, I guess I could afford it. I guess if my job lets me, then I could go, but
Hmm.
a part of me is saying, "No, save your money, like, just don't spend, just, make sure, that you focus on work." So a part of me is sort of like, I know I've been wanting to go to Taiwan, since forever, and this is probably my opportunity, but another side of me is all like, "Nah, stay put, like, save, 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 save." So I don't know. I'm sort of conflicted, and by the way, before I forget, um, I guess my subtitle right here says Mexico Taku, but my channel is now Mexitokyo because I found out that Mexico Taku was taken already. I
It
don't want
is, yeah.
to infringe, so I should have changed that in here as well.
I don't think that channel is active though. I've seen because sometimes when I put Mexico Taco in the search, that channel comes up too. Let's see if they're active. When the last video was. Um, a mix. Wait. Um, it's not coming up anymore. Hmm.
Weird. I guess they changed their name as well. I don't know.
Maybe, yeah.
If nobody
They did.
wants it, then I want it back. Well, that's fine
Yeah,
then. I
yeah,
think nobody has
take it
Mexa
back.
Tokyo.
Yeah, it's not coming up anymore. Hmm. You should take it back.
Yeah, like you guys don't want it, fine.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe they're the same idea that you did, they changed it.
Maybe. I don't know.
But yeah, as far as life on my end here in LA, yeah, same old for the most part. Just trying to lose more weight, trying to lose another 20 pounds by Christmas. It's getting a lot harder for sure. The weight's
I
not
do
coming off
notice
as
that you're
quickly.
down 70 pounds. Your
How'd you know?
subtitle there.
How'd you know? I'm just kidding.
It says right there. I don't know if you have updated it yet or not. Maybe it's more. But yeah, it says right there, down 70 pounds. So congratulations. I'm pretty sure everybody who's watching, is very proud of you as well.
Yeah, thank you. No, I know it's been now just being sarcastic, but yeah, I haven't updated because I haven't lost any more weight.
Oh well, if you visit Japan, you'll have
Mhm.
no choice but to walk around everywhere.
Yeah,
And here I don't even feel guilty if I treat myself to ice cream or anything, because I know I'm going to be burning it off.
yeah,
Like in LA, I'm all like, isn't this a little too sweet? Because I was
right,
driving everywhere. But
right,
over here, I'm all like, oh, a sugar rush, good. I'm gonna need it because I'm gonna be walking around a lot.
right. That's true. Yeah, plus you'll burn it off anyway. Remember how right before we left, we were talking about how like walking steps, and you would say, you would walk like a short distance and say you were done for the day or whatever. Now it's just like now you have to walk.
Yes, your commute to work, your commute to grocery shopping, your commute to anything at all.
Yeah,
Unless you stay the whole day in the house, you're going to be walking a lot.
right,
And that's just normal here. That's just expected. I think that's probably good for the environment,
right.
pretty good for parking space, when most of the population is in the train. And the society accommodates to that. The way that the grocery stores, the way that, the shopping stores, the way that the restaurants, everything is set up for pedestrians.
Nice.
So it's not like an inconvenience. Like if you try to do that in LA, it's almost impossible.
Right.
But over here, it's really convenient. It's like everything is set up and makes sense for that.
I think it also depends on the layout of the land because LA's like really stretched out, but Japan, it seems like, like you said, Tokyo's like New York, so it's probably like more dense where, there's a lot of buildings in a smaller like square foot of land.
Yes, so I guess I'll have to correct myself a little bit um because Tokyo is a world of its own, I heard. The
Right.
rest of Japan is probably a little different, but Tokyo is its own little world. So I can't really say it's the same for the whole country.
Right. Nova says you should go to Taiwan. You're probably as close as you'll ever be.
No, yes, absolutely no, but I do want to go to Taiwan, definitely for sure. I'm just wondering if I should go this time around, because especially if my friend is going in right after New Year, which I assume is a time when people are traveling all over the place, the
Right.
plane tickets might be a little pricier. So I'm trying to think maybe I should go in some other, month when there's less people traveling for the holidays or something like that, so that I can budget for it better. And probably at that point, I would have saved a lot more money. And even though I could do it now, like a part of me is saying, like, nah, you gotta save. And maybe that's a personality quirk. Like I always feel like I need to hoard, my savings because there's always this anxious feeling like you never know when something could come up. You never know. You know what I mean?
Also, I mean, you should probably do it before China invades Taiwan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you got a point there.
But yeah, so time was of the essence for sure. Nova says, have you had any negative experience as a foreigner? The Gaijin thing or not really?
Well, nothing that's really worth making any deal about. I'll give you an example, and this is me thinking really hard about it, about maybe a negative experience. I went to my local ward. to update my, I don't know, some sort of paperwork, whatever. And people there don't really speak English. And so the people who do speak English, they speak very broken English because they probably took some classes when they were in middle school or high school, and
Right.
by now they're like late midlife. You know what I mean? So like when one worker was trying to guide me to the right place, like, trying to say, oh, this is a local resident, he doesn't speak Japanese. Like, I guess the manager, he sort of like ignored that, he pretended to be busy or something. And I guess because maybe it's because he's a little older, I sense that, oh, maybe he doesn't like the fact that there's foreigners who don't speak Japanese. But then like some other worker was so kind to me and was able to help me out as best as she could. We were trying to do, like, communicate as best as we could as to what my needs were. But I guess
Mhm.
that's my only, and I don't even know, maybe I'm interpreting it wrong. Maybe he really was busy. But you do get the sense in certain places, like, oh, a foreigner's walking in, we might have a little challenge communicating. So I think it's mostly a communication thing. Like, I think if the foreigners here spoke Japanese perfectly, then it would be to the relief of people who live here. But again, little by little, especially I think the younger generation, their English is becoming better, so they're able to accommodate more. But at the same time, if you're a foreigner and you come here knowing at least a little bit of Japanese, then that's going to make things a whole lot easier, not only for the local population, but for yourself as well.
Very nice. Brendan says, how's the ganja in Japan?
Oh, is that marijuana?
I believe so. Yeah. I don't
Apparently,
know. Do they even have a big smoking culture in Japan?
well, okay. So there's this place called Mexicali. It's a restaurant where the owner is from California, and he informs me about how things are in Japan. So like, if you're looking for trouble, you could find trouble. So like,
Right.
there's places over there where the yakuza and organized crime, they sell drugs.
I
But
bet.
if you're looking for, let's say, if you're into anime, then Akihabara is the place for you. If you're into drinking, then this place is good for you. If you're into, like, going through all the categories. So apparently, if you look for stuff, you can find it. But I get the feeling that over here it's not as popular as LA.
Mhm.
Over here, the vices are basically limited to smoking and drinking.
Right.
People do get drunk here, but I think that the whole pothead thing is not really a thing here. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but yeah, I think there's a lot less drug use from the way that I see things.
Very nice. Yeah. I mean, I know I've never known or heard Japan to be a big smoking culture. You're right about drinking. They do drink a lot out there from what I've seen or what I've heard. But yeah, sort of
But I do
smoking
want to
is not true.
emphasize, for anybody who's going to visit Japan, please don't bring anything funny, because if
Yeah.
they do find it, I think they will punish you. It's going to be a big deal. They
Wow.
won't take any excuses like, I didn't know I wasn't supposed to bring this, stuff like that. So just a warning.
That reminds you of the whole. I don't know if you heard about the story, but there was a WNBA player who took weed with her when she traveled to Russia, and Russia of all places, and they put her in jail.
I heard of that, and Russia is actually not too far from me, just up north,
Oh
up
wow.
up Hokkaido. You find the first islands, or peninsulas that belong to Russia immediately.
Mhm.
Probably the same distance as Washington is from you. You know what I
Right.
mean? And the state of Washington. So like, a part of me, so like, wouldn't it be great if I visited Russia, one of these days? Wouldn't it be great? For me, it would be fine, John.
Okay.
For you, as an American, it might be complicated, because apparently I think Mexicans are allowed to go through some sort of digital visa. We're
Hmm.
allowed to go to Russia because the Mexican government and the Russian government are in good terms.
That's
But if
good.
Americans go there, I have a feeling that there might be people, walking behind you trying to make sure you're not a spy or something.
Yeah, Americans and Russia aren't exactly on the best page right now.
Yeah, and that's what I told my coworker at that one company party. He's all like, "Oh, I have Japanese and American passports," and I think he was explaining that if he tells people that he's American, he's sort of treated a little poorly, probably in other countries that he visits. So I told him, yeah, so it's probably better if you just show people your Japanese passport and stick to that, if
There
you're
you go.
traveling around. But again, I guess that depends which country we're talking about.
Yeah, it's a really good point you brought up. Also, like the guy from California, it's really good to talk to people like him because they'll tell you like where you should go, where you shouldn't go. Have you met a lot of people like that that kind of give you advice on where to go?
He's one of the only ones because a lot of people don't even speak English.
Right.
And when I walked in, I'm all like, "Ah, it's gonna be another one of these Mexican restaurant where the staff are only Japanese and they hardly understand me. That's fine. I'll just point at something in the menu." He's all like, "Oh, hey, how are you? Have a seat." I'm like,
How's it
"Oh,
going?
geez." Like it felt like being back in LA, like at that moment,
Yeah, yeah,
at least in that little bubble. I'm like, "Oh, I'm
right.
glad that you speak English." And we became, I guess, acquaintances or friends, whatever you call it, and now I have his contact
Oh,
info, and
nice.
you know, he's sort of like introducing me to other people that he thinks I should meet, like this one guy from Guadalajara, which I might meet tonight. And in fact, there's actually this YouTuber that I've been
Hmm.
following for a long time that apparently lives in Japan now because he's a Mexican YouTuber. He was sort of big back then, but because he was sort of political, I guess he had to go to exile here in Japan.
You have
And I
to
was
leave.
able to sort of get in touch with him as well, and we might meet next week, hopefully. Like
Nice,
I'm one of his fans.
nice, cool. So it looks like I thought you were gonna say like, oh, he was introducing you to people from LA. I would have been laughing so hard because like you try to leave LA and all and then you meet people from LA. That would be really funny.
Yeah, I'm not sure I actually met anyone from LA. And in fact, I think I feel like I'm one of the very few Mexicans out here at all, you
Wow.
know? So, yeah, it'd be nice to find other people from LA, but at least from now. Oh, yeah, actually, there's one, my friend Paul. He used to be my manager at a different company, but he and I both came here, and I've met with him too. And
Hmm.
yeah, so there's that. So a little piece of home is still out here in Japan, if that makes sense.
Do you feel like home or like there's a piece of home when you go to like Starbucks, like familiar establishments?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing because, Starbucks anywhere is going to feel like Starbucks
Right.
anywhere. It just happens to have Japanese people, but other than that, it's exactly the same. They play English music and the atmosphere, the vibes, everything is exactly the same.
I think it'd be a good thing, and obviously, there's not a direct comparison. But like when I moved to San Diego, and obviously San Diego and Japan aren't on the same wavelength, but it was still an area where I didn't know anyone, and I wasn't familiar with at all. So sometimes when I would get homesick, just going to like a Costco or a Target or a Starbucks, something I was familiar with back in LA, it made me feel a little bit better. So maybe I don't know, maybe I have a similar experience on that.
See, now you're flexing. So like you went to Tarjay.
Target, yeah, very good, very
Uh
nice clothes, only the best.
yes, there's this feeling of foreignness when I'm
Yeah.
here. I can tell that I'm in a whole different world,
Hmm.
but at the same time, it still has that charm.
Hmm.
Um, I go to different places and I see a lot of references to Mexico. So like this one coffee shop said, "Oh, your coffee shop is written in Spanish, isn't it?"
Yeah.
Like, "Oh, yes." And he's all like, "Oh, yeah, I have a lot of Spanish speaking friends." So whenever I get my coffee, whenever I leave, he's all like, "Gracias." Like, he says it in Spanish. So you do feel like, oh, there's some references to remind you of where you came from, sort of a thing, but you still can tell that this is a whole nother world. I feel
Right.
like a guest here, if anything, you know?
Right. It takes time for sure. Brandon asks, I don't know if he's asking if there's inflation in Japan or how bad is it, but I think there's inflation everywhere now.
Inflation in Japan is so high that if Americans come with their dollars, you'll be able to stretch it out real well. You'll be able to afford things here, and Tokyo's the most expensive part of Japan. But
Right.
compared to LA, you're gonna feel like you're let's say that with a $20 bill, you'd be able to buy all your groceries. With a $20 bill, you'd probably be able to have breakfast, lunch, and dinner just fine.
Wow.
So your dollar would go really far here. And again, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. I guess it depends because here the economy, it feels like, it's still one of the greatest economies in the world, but it feels like it's reached a plateau,
Hmm.
if that makes sense. Especially when Korea, especially when Taiwan, are right next door, and up and coming economies like Vietnam are also getting their piece of the pie. Japan is not the main one anymore.
Hmm.
So there's a lot of competition, but I guess I don't know. It depends how you look at it. Inflation is very strong, unfortunately. And I don't think anybody in the government knows what to do about it.
Yeah, they're treating symptoms like they are everywhere else. So,
Yeah,
do you
I
see
see.
anyone over there using like cryptocurrency like Bitcoin or like any digital online form of payment?
There are some digital options, right?
Yeah.
Those options will be more available, obviously, to Japanese people than to foreigners. I think
Hmm.
foreigners, they have to go to companies that sort of cater to us. You know, they're like specifically made for foreigners with like English translation, but that makes it a little bit more limited as to
Hmm.
the options when it comes to currency, when it comes to almost anything else. Um, but yeah, but I think it's mostly still a cash-based society, and I
Right.
think that's a good thing. I sort of lean more towards stick with cash. You could sort of buy gift cards. You could pay for your subscriptions, your online subscriptions through e-money. In fact, let me give you an example here. So this is a gift card. It's called Web Money. You buy at a
Hmm.
local convenience store, and you could use this to buy all sorts of online digital products, or you could use it for Amazon. I guess you could use it for all sorts of things online. And I like that. So that means nothing is tied to my credit card.
Right.
It feels like there's a little bit more privacy, and I like it that way. But I feel like the world is sort of going more digital little by little, and probably that's the point. But at least in Japan, we still have sort of like that cash-based, system, which who knows how long it's gonna last, but so long as it's there, I feel like it's really good for me. I like it.
Definitely. And then Nova asked, "What do you miss most about the U.S.?"
Well, I think I told you, John, before about how the food is better for me. For
More
me,
options.
there's a lot more options in the US. So I guess the food, I'm never going to find Chipotle here.
Yeah,
When I
or Jersey Mike's.
Yeah, when I told a coworker, "Oh yeah, how much Mexican food is found here?" He's all like, "I know this one place." So he looked it up on his phone, and he,
Yeah.
he showed me the website for Taco Bell.
Wow.
Well, like, yeah, we have that in the United States as well. Really? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's not real Mexican food. "Oh, but it says Mexican food here." I'm like, all right. At this point, I'm not really gonna explain it.
Right.
I'm just gonna leave it at that because it's just gonna get more confusing the more you
Yeah.
explain it. So, "Oh, okay, yeah, Taco Bell. Yeah, there's one in California. Yeah, in fact, I ate Taco Bell before coming to Japan. That's true. Like the day before, the night before, actually.
Hmm.
So yeah, I guess I missed the food.
Nova says, "Other than John and Jersey Mike's."
That's funny. Well, obviously, I'm going to miss my family, and my
Yeah.
friends. There's a few places in California that, if I were there, like in Alhambra,
Hmm.
like where we used to hang out as well,
Right.
or an undisclosed location. And Oregon, there's a lot of places that I'm going to be missing, that
Hmm.
I already miss and that I'm going to be missing, but that's part of it. Whenever you go somewhere else, you're always going to miss stuff.
Do you think you miss it because you can probably not visit as much as you want to?
Yeah, I think that's part of it. When you put the cookies in a cookie jar
Hmm.
and you lock them up,
You
you
want them
happen
even
to,
more.
yeah, sort of. It's sort of like that, if that makes
Right.
sense.
Yeah, I feel the same way. You always want what you can't have.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. Between Japan and California, it's the biggest ocean in the planet. You know, it's the difference between night and day, literally.
Right.
So it's not close at all. It's not like I could just drive back whenever I want. But I would really like to, yeah, check out, maybe Guadalajara or Monterrey. It's been years, decades since I've been to Mexico itself. I'd
Hmm.
like to check out other countries as well, but for now, I'm just, trying to make a life here as much as I can. And if I'm able to renew my visa, then I will.
Definitely. I know you're on a tight schedule, so I don't want to keep you here for too long, but I appreciate you making time for us and hanging out with us. It was really nice. We'll try to do this more often. If you have excuse me, if you have any more questions for Carlos, any comments, let us know with the next couple minutes. But anything else that you want to mention, Carlos?
Um, well, let's see. I'm going to go to a job fair in Akihabara right
Hmm.
after our live stream, not too long from after our live stream. For those of you who like anime, which, it's probably one or two in the audience, or maybe one and a
Yeah,
half.
yeah.
Akihabara is probably the anime capital of Japan.
Hmm.
Um, I'm going to see if I could get some side hustles, there. And I feel like little by little, once I get my schedule in order, then, this place is going to feel more and more like home. So that's the goal. And hopefully I'm able to make it happen.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, the more the more you're there, the more you invest time in there and effort, the more it'll feel like home. So I agree.
Yeah, definitely. But I guess those are my thoughts on my end at this time.
Awesome. Well, it's good seeing you, Carlos. And even though it's not in person, I wish they're able to see you and talk to you, which is always great. Appreciate you making time for us, and we'll catch you guys next one. Peace.
Take care.